Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards. In this video, I want to discuss my SGC reveal and discuss where SGC stands in the current grading landscape. Sports cards, they've been around since the 1800s. Grading, been around since the 1980s, 1990s. And the good thing about this is that we have the ability to authenticate cards to show that they're not trimmed, altered, or anything else along those lines. And on top of that, we can get a numerical value to determine how good of condition these cards are. You know, grading's been around now for 30, 40 years. It has become a really popular part of the hobby. You almost always open a box of cards with hoping to send the top card or two to grading to actually pay off your box. It's just such an integral part of the hobby and the values of cards. And for a long time, you had BGS. BGS was the number one. SGC was the first grading company, but they weren't the number one premium brand. That was Beckett. And now PSA has surpassed Beckett, and SGC's been around for a very long time as well, but they were kind of always a vintage, basically pre-war vintage, the old school vintage, as the primary company you want to have your cards graded by. But now we've seen in recent times that PSA has far surpassed BGS, and SGC has kind of found its little niche. And its little niche right now isn't just pre-war vintage. Yes, the majority of the cards still go through PSA. I saw a graph where there was 1 million cards graded by PSA and only 55,000 graded by SGC. So the quantity is much lower, but SGC is doing a fantastic job in regards to customer service and quick turnaround times. And that's what I want to kind of show in this video. So I have a 3-card SGC return. You'll see 4 cards here. That's because in my last video, I discussed this card and how it looks damaged. You can see it along the side and the top. And I got a response from SGC and what is going on with the card. So I just want to discuss that card as well in this video to say what's going on and what's going to happen. One thing I want to say about my SGC submission. This submission, I sent this in August 1st, 2022. The reason I say 2022 is because I sent a PSA order in on March 1st, 2021 and just got that back. I actually sent this in again on August 1st of this year and got it graded on August 2nd and only paid $30. It's their lowest option and it got graded within 1 day, sent back to me within 3 days. On August 4th, it was sent back and actually received the cards today on August 8th. So within literally less than a week, they received the cards, graded them, and had them back in my hands. They didn't receive them and then they sat there. It was literally same day they were graded. It was a really great thing to see. It makes me believe in the company. And yes, their actual amount they have is much, much lower than PSA currently, but I actually think that's a good thing for collectors as well because who knows, pricing might go down a little bit. But without further ado, let's discuss these cards. The first thing, this Billy Butler. This is a PC card. Billy Butler is a family friend. People have asked, like, why do you grade Billy Butler cards? That's why. It's one of his very best rookie cards. But there's these actual marks along the side, and I assumed that it was damaged by SGC, and I wanted to see what they would do to compensate me for damaging a very rare personal collection card. Turns out it's Newton rings. If you're familiar with grading with PSA, I've never seen it with SGC personally up to this point, but sometimes the card presses lightly against the surface of the glass or plastic, and that creates a little bubble or issue with the card. If you actually crack the card out, according to SGC, it'll be just fine. Essentially, they said if I crack it out and there's damage, they'll help me out here, but they said it should be just fine. So I believe them there, and I've seen Newton rings with PSA in the past. So let's do my grading submission. The very first card. This is a Juan Soto Atomic rookie card. This card is really pretty. Atomic is one of the best. Juan Soto doesn't have many Topps Chromium products out there. He has Topps Chrome, but the refractors, the base refractors are numbered to 250 and everything else is lower. There is a pink refractor, but that's not numbered and that was really hard to pull out of fat packs. But pink refractors don't go for as much as base or atomics. So this Atomic refractor I bought on eBay because the guy had shown tons and tons of different photos and I could tell that it was in good condition. He actually had in the title of the listing read and said that there's a slight surface damage. I saw the surface damage. It was a tiny little scuff that I think an SGC would grade a 9.5 or PSA might even give it a 10 on a good day, and I was right and got lucky and SGC gave it a 10. So I'm in this card not too much. Probably can find the listing if you really want to, but an SGC 10 on that Juan Soto Atomic refractor. Really pretty card, and that's a pretty good one to get back. After that, this next one is a Juan Soto black border. You can see the Newton stuff going on down here. That's the exact same issue. It probably just shows up well with the black on black. But this one was a previous PSA 7. And the guy who actually graded it cracked it out and sold it because he said it is not a PSA 7. It looks so much better than PSA 7. And I actually figured when I saw that he did that there must have been something hidden in the surface, like a little crease somewhere or something along those lines. But I can truly say the biggest issue is just basic whitening on the bottom left corner and on the back slightly, but but for a card that's 100% black, edges and corners like this one, that is not a big deal. It is slightly off center left to right, but not worth dropping it 3 number grades to a 7, and this one pulled a 9. So from a PSA 7 to an SGC 9, I think the SGC 9 is more accurate grade. I know people are going to say in the comments, this is why SGC is a joke, yada yada yada, because they grade less strict. While I think maybe PSA found some micro damage, I didn't see anything, and I look at my cards really thoroughly. I think this is an accurate grade. I think it could have been an 8.5 just because it is off center slightly, but I think a 9 is perfectly fine. And the last card of this submission, this was a Paul Goldschmidt Bowman Sterling Refractor. Gorgeous card. This one I bought at a local card shop. I saw it sitting there. It was $50, and I thought that was a very good deal because these Bowman Sterling base cards from Mike Trout, Paul Goldschmidt, Salvador Perez, Jose Altuve, it's a fantastic set, and there's more great rookie cards in that set. In particular, in Bowman Sterling, it's a 50 card rookie set, and there's probably 5 or 6 worth collecting. They are hard to find. You got usually 6 packs in a box, and there's 100 cards between the rookies and the prospects, and you would only get 6 base cards. 1 base card per pack, 3 autographs per pack. So to actually pull a base of a player is much more rare than pulling an autograph of a player, which is kind of crazy. And on top of that, the refractors and the base just have major surface issues out of the pack. Whether it's print lines or scuffs, they're always terrible. And so when I saw this one, I bought it because I thought it might have a chance of being decent. Plus, it was a good price at $50. They usually go for around 80 or 90, and it looked great. So my debate was sending this to SGC or PSA. Glad I went with SGC just because it comes back in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. But on top, that's a PC card, and it did pull a 10. I think it's a very, very accurate grade for this card. So really pretty, by the way. Bowman Sterling's one of the best looking sets, in my opinion, from 2011. But either way, I did really well. I got a 10, a 9, and a 10. I think they're all accurate grades. You could argue that the black could be lower, but I think it is a fair grade nonetheless. So let's discuss, before I end this video, SGC a little bit. Where are they currently in the hobby? SGC, I think they're going to be around a long time. I think they're doing a great job of being attractive to newer people in the hobby and being attractive as a cheaper alternative to PSA. PSA just had their $18 submission, which was very low, but I think SGC is either going to have their own type of submission special pricing like that, or they're going to actually just lower the cost in general. SGC also made waves at the National this year by having a raw card grade, where they would actually grade it on site, put it into a sleeve with the numerical grade, and you can submit that to SGC, and they'll give you the grade that was listed on the raw card grade. So that's another thing that Beckett has been doing for a very long time, but SGC is starting to do that now. They're kind of filling that void that Beckett had, and so it's very interesting. I think SGC actually has a real path to being the number 2 grader in the hobby. They need to get more cards graded and more high-end cards graded. Some people hate the holders, some people love the holders, but either way, I think they're a very valid grading option, especially if you want to do it for cheap. I paid $30 a card because I only submitted 3 myself. That was $90. If you want to submit in bulk, there's bulk submitters like Slab Stocks or Nash Cards. I've used Nash Cards a lot, where it's $23 a card. So you can get cards back within 2-3 weeks if you send a bulk submitter, or 1.5 weeks by yourself if you send it in yourself, and you can do it for much cheaper and get cards authenticated. SGC is bigger in the vintage section of cards than the modern section. I still think they are going to evolve and advance in the modern section. So anyways, those are my thoughts. That was my SGC return. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought was a good, bad, the ugly. Let me know what you're thinking, and other than that, I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.